She is currently under the Dhammadana lecture series program at the Buddhist Mahavihara, Brickfield, Malaysia. Today's topic is entitled, Are Women Better Buddhists? We now invite Bhikkhuni to deliver the talk. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so before we start, let's pay homage to the Lord Buddha and take 5 precepts. So let's start by venerating the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Kisana gamanang samanang. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Adinādana veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Adinādana veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Kāmesu micchāchārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Kāmesu micchāchārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhyami.
Surāmīre majjapamādhatthāna veramani sikkhapadang Tisaranena sadhing panchasilam dhammam sadhukam surakitam katva appamadena sampamadithagam. Samantha Chakravalesu Gachantu Devata Sadham Munirajasansu Sumantu Saghamukadam Dhamma Savana Kalu Ayam Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalu Ayam Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalu Ayam Badanta. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear devotees of the Dhamma, brothers and sisters, good morning to all of you. It's an honor to be here and to share a little bit of Dhamma that I know with all of you. I would like to give my great appreciation to the Buddhist Mahavihara and to Brother Leslie for inviting me. So without taking much time, I would like to discuss what I've been given to discuss today. There is many angles we can look at this topic. First, I would like to discuss with you what it is to become a Buddhist. Before we can be a better Buddhist, we must know what it means to be a Buddhist, whether it's a man or a woman. To be a Buddhist means we taking care of ourselves and others and living in a way without causing suffering to the others and to ourselves. Living at peace with yourself and with others and creating a harmonious environment around you and helping you and the others to be happy while we are alive. So it's not an easy task. To get there, Buddha pointed out, there are we can break our practice to three main categories. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Buddha pointed out, we need to cultivate the virtuous behavior. It has to be developed with ethics and morals. Our behavior has to be virtuous. And also, we need to purify our mind. It's a pure mind that can experience this peace, the calmness and the happiness. And that peaceful mind helps us to develop wisdom, to be able to understand what's really going on, what's happening, what should we do, what's the purpose of life, where did we come from, what are we supposed to do here, where are we going after this, are we going anywhere or nowhere, what's the purpose of life. So wisdom allows us to understand things, the real characteristics of the nature, the reality. So Buddha pointed out, if we practice virtuous behavior and we purify our mind and we develop our wisdom, then we can consider that person is following the Buddha's footsteps. A person who follows the Buddha's footsteps, we call a Buddhist. So a Buddhist doesn't mean just because you're being born to a Buddhist family or because you're just reciting something, that doesn't make us a Buddhist. A Buddhist means someone with understanding, following the Buddha's footsteps. And when you do that, what happens is we become better people. After we are born as a human being, we have human weaknesses. We have a lot of emotions. We are very selfish. So, what happens to the things that are desirable, we start to like, we start to desire them. Without knowing, we develop greed. And for the things that are not agreeable to us, we start to dislike them. And then a friction starts, a conflict starts. So the anger, the jealousy, all this hatred starts. So these are full-on emotions. So it's these emotions that makes us weak. And the emotions leads to all the problems and the conflicts and the wars and everything that makes the life painful. It causes a lot of suffering to oneself and to others. So Buddha pointed out it is these emotions that is responsible for all of our physical and mental suffering. But if we purify our mind and we work on getting rid of these impurities, these defilements, all these emotions, we become tranquilized, very peaceful, and with that peace we become happy, and we also become wise. Then we can live happily. So, to become a Buddhist means we need to understand what Buddha taught and put that to practice. Then we become a Buddhist. So, what you just recited now also, the 5 precepts, is about me reminding you how your behavior should be, how you can take care of your physical and verbal behavior that will not hurt or harm another or oneself. That will give you some peace of mind and happiness itself if you can practice that. Now, there's a tricky part in this question because it's asking about just one gender, whether this particular gender, the women, are better at practicing Buddhism. To like trying to compare the apples and the oranges and ask which one is better. The thing is, now I have to go to science. You know, when we compare a male and female, there are differences that you can't hide that. There are inherent differences. And one of the things we know very clearly, and it's very apparent, it goes without argument, is men are stronger. Physically, muscle power, and with strength, and even the structure, the bones. From you look at the anatomy of a male and a female, the anatomy, and if you go even deeper than that to the DNA, the men have a stronger composition. So there's no arguments that men are stronger than women. So in this physical body is also the brain, because it's very important to understand these two differences. Then we won't have much of a problem in understanding each of us where we are in the evolution. So in the brain also there is a big difference between the men and women. That is being understood by the scientists as well, and the people who do a lot of research into these areas. This is why the books like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus also come to be, because they recognize that difference. So one of the differences, due to how our brains being wired, is that women are more prone to emotions. So that's a fact, how the brain is wired. It's nothing wrong with you. You can blame the DNA. That's how it has been passed down. Because if you take the role of a man and a woman, what's the role in this evolution? Woman's role is to propagate the species, in a sense, to take care of the baby, the infant, and pass it, create the new generation, even though the man has a part in it. But who does the take caring of the baby and bringing them up? It's a woman. So in their genes, mainly the gene makes the woman to be very attached. Women are naturally very affectionate. If they like something, they are very affectionate, and they get very attached, and they are very possessive. Then after that attachment comes, they get very possessed, and with that possessiveness the control comes. Then they want to control. This is in the DNA. So women have very strong emotions. They have very strong emotions due to this role that they have to play. So when someone asked Buddha, I actually printed out the sutras because I didn't not just want to say. There's a very, very interesting one where one Brahmin comes, called Janusoni, comes and asks the Buddha, Master Gautama, what is the aim of the Kshatriyas? What is the aim of the Brahmins? What is the aim of the householders? And what is the aim of the women? What is the aim of the ascetics? So he has many categories. And not only just that question, I will read the other questions as well. in what is relevant to us. So then Buddha points out in each category what is their aim, what is their quest, what is their support, what is their intent, and what is their goal in life. So when it comes to the woman, Buddha says, a man, Brahmin, is the aim of woman. So the aim of a woman, they strive for men. And then Buddha says their quest is for adornment. They like to, put this, put that, to be beautiful, to look beautiful. And then Buddha says the sons are their support. Their children, mainly at that time it was the son who was the powerful woman. That's their support, their children. They are intent on being without rival, because at that time the men had many wives. So they are intent on being without a rival. And their final goal, this is the most interesting, and their final goal in life is authority. Wanting to dominate. This is what Buddha is saying. And also, there are many other suttas when someone asks the Buddha about the woman's composition or their character. Buddha says, there is another sutta, this is all in Anguttara Nikaya. If you want, you can ask me later. I can show this to you. Under the powers, that section, Buddha is talking about the power of the children is weeping. And the power of the woman is, what do you think Buddha said? Anger. The power of the woman is anger. So, I have seen there are many arguments going back and forth saying, when people want to rubbish Buddha, they would say, oh, Buddha was not kind to women, look how he has been putting down the woman and like that. But that's not the case. Here he was giving honest answers based on facts, not meaning to put down anyone. But this is the fact. Like I said, if our DNA, if the women's DNA has a certain quality, that's the quality of it. So don't take this personally saying, oh, Buddha talked bad about women. That's not the case. But Buddha was very clearly pointing out they are emotional. They are emotional. They have emotions. That's what Buddha is pointing here. They use the emotion as the power. Right? So, this has been recognized even before the Buddha. That women are not physically weak. Mentally also they are weak. So that's why until Buddha came and helped the women, because he recognized the fact there is a problem and he gave the remedy. Okay, there is a problem here, but it can be fixed. This is what you have to do. And he gave the hand the woman. He did not put them down because they have much weaker position. But in all the other religions in the world that I know, due to this, they put the woman in the closet and close. They are homebound. They are covered from head to toes. And also, they were not given access to education. They were not allowed to work. They were only allowed to cook, clean, and to have the babies and look after the babies. This was the reason. In Vedas, there is someone who formed the rules called Manu. In Hinduism, there is this Manu's laws. And one of the laws is that the Shudras means the lower caste people, the slaves and the women are not supposed to read the Vedas. So the women did not have access to their spiritual teachings. They were banned. And also, due to this weaker position, they always protected women and put them under someone. So in Manu's law, another law is that a woman, when they are little, they have to be under their father's care. When they are young, they have to be under the husband's care. They have to be under husband. And if the husband dies, then the woman has to be under the care of the son. So they never had freedom. They were always under the thumb of a man, and they didn't have much freedom as to choose what they would like to do. They were always bound to cooking, cleaning, have children, and to look after them, bring up the children. And you can see that in pretty much in all the religions even now. Some are, I think after Buddha appeared in the world and proved that yes, the women have a problem, but given the chance that they can be educated, they can give this knowledge, and given the chance for them to work on themselves, Buddha said they are sometimes even can be better than men. When King Kosala, Pasinadi Kosala, he was actually talking with Buddha, and then he got the news that his queen delivered a daughter. The first child he had was a daughter, and at that time, having a daughter is like a bad luck, meaning bad luck. A lot of the fathers will kill because their only hope is the son. So the king was very angry to hear that news because he thought he will be getting a son. So he's like, I know what to do. So he was very angry, he was going to go home, but then Buddha stopped him and told the king, the daughters are better as the sons, and even they can be better than men. This daughter can be a good queen one day. One day he can be a queen that may give birth to a monarch, give birth to an emperor, give birth to a great king. So the daughters are better as the sons. There's no difference in that. So Buddha was showing very clearly, just because they are physically and mentally weak, it doesn't mean they are, bad. Given the chance, they can be better than men. Actually, it says this daughter that she was Queen Vajira, she got married to the king in Magadha. And you have heard the Emperor Asoka, right? This queen is an ancestor of King Asoka. So it's their genes that got passed down. I think she must be the grandmother or someone of this great Emperor King Asoka. So that's what Buddha was saying. So just because they have a weakness, it doesn't mean that they are bad. So not like in any other religion, what Buddha did, he showed them you have a problem. But it can be fixed if you practice the proper way. And then not only you can be just a Buddhist, you can be a better Buddhist, provided you practice. So there were nuns at Buddha's time where they actually did better than some monks. There were monks practicing to become Arahat, But there were nuns, like Kema. She was only talking with Buddha and on the spot she got enlightened. And there are these men who become a monk and striving and striving and striving to get rid of their weakness and to perfect their goodness. And there is this woman comes, listens to the Dhamma, straight away, get rid of all the weaknesses, brings the goodness to the perfection, get enlightened. So there are many examples like that. So Buddha was pointing that out. Women can do even better than men. Given the chance, they practice properly to behave, cultivate that virtuous behavior and purify their mind and develop their wisdom. Because it was well known, the Brahmins usually say, women don't have a brain. So at that time it was like a saying that women's wisdom is only 2 finger length. Even today, what do they say? No? There is a saying in Sri Lanka where they say the lady's wisdom is the length of the spoon. But at that time, they were tasting the rice to see whether the rice is cooked by poking their 2 fingers into the rice to test whether rice is cooked. So they said their wisdom is only this long. Anyway, so Buddha proved it, no, given the chance, all this can be developed. So the main thing for you all to understand is that the makeup of it. Yes, there's a big difference between men and women. So we don't have to have a competition to compete and say whether you are better or whether I'm better. It's like, I don't think we ever had any athletic races where men and women run together 100, the 100 meters or 200 meters, and because we know who will win. So it's always in sports, men's have their men's, women have the women 100 meters, 200 meters, swimming, whatever not. The men have their own, because you can't put them together and compete. No point. Right? So in here also, no need to compete. We just understand as a fact, there's a big difference. So women are physically weaker than men. Even though women try to prove, no, I also can do what the man does. And that's what's been happening. Not just physically, even after they get education and all that, so they say, no, I also can work like you. So as a result of trying to compete, trying to prove that we are better or equal or better than men, the stress is coming up. Because before, the women accepted, okay, you can go to work, earn the money, you are stronger, you can use your physical strength, you can use your brain, work, do some service, you provide us. I will look after the children and stay home. So she was very relaxed, and she looked after the house and brought up the child with a lot of loving kindness and care, giving attention to them. And they were brought up. But now that, we try to be equal, and they also choose to go and do the work that men do, then no one stays home. Men will never stay home and look after the children, do they? They will not do that. So there starts a big problem. The children are left in the child care, and who knows how they're being taken care of. So they grow up with this insecurity, and then when they grow up with this insecurity inside, and they are mentally unstable. So from childhood, then they have stress, problems. And the women also, they're trying to compete and work, they are very tired and they get stressed easily. The man is somehow, they are always working, so they also have fatigue and probably they are also stressed. Now there are two stressed people at home. No one is there to cool down one another. Big family problem starts, and it's a family is the core unit in our society. So if there's no harmony in the family, no unity, no peace at home, it's very difficult to imagine a society that's going to be living in harmony and in unity and with peace, because it's already gone at the core unit. So we don't have to really compete. We can accept our position and just do things, with your abilities. And then also we can develop ourselves. Slowly we can practice and develop. But the best thing for a woman that can happen is to be born or to have access to Buddhism. Because the Buddhist women are in a better position in their spiritual practice than any other woman belong to any other religion or anywhere else. So I actually like to take the topic into that area rather than comparing the apples and the oranges, because really to be born into a Buddhist family, to be born as a Buddhist woman and then to have access to study this Dhamma gives a much better position for the woman to be in and to cultivate their spirituality, where in some other religions you can't read your scriptures, you can't go to your temple or to the mosque or to wherever, because they are banned. But here in Buddhism, Lord Buddha actually helped women a lot. He gave access to everything. He didn't hide anything from women just because they are weak. He taught them more carefully and he guided them. And to the level that he even accepted women to his order. Like the men can become a monk, he also allowed the woman to become a nun. Where you will find in the world, in other religions, I have not heard there is any imams, any lady woman imams in the world, not that I know of. And also in Hinduism, they have pusaris, they have the Hindu priest. I never have heard a lady Hindu priest. Only very recently in Catholic or Christianity, few denominations, they are allowing ladies to become priests and also to go up the hierarchy. I had a friend who was a nun. She was the first nun bishop in Australia, I think in the world, the first bishop, Sister Barbara. But I think that's only recently that after fighting and all that, they've been given that opportunity. But Buddha, didn't make a difference. He allowed the woman to practice, and then, seeing the weaknesses, he remedied it. Even for the nuns, there are more Vinaya rules than the normal woman, more than the monks, because there were certain incidences, they were showing the emotional behavior. So Buddha had to put down the rules, saying, no, you are here to learn to manage your emotion, to eliminate the emotions. This is your weakness, so you have to be very strict with this. So he was very strict with the nuns. But he guided them with loving kindness and with compassion. So lucky that to be born as a Buddhist woman and have access to this Dhamma. So we can actually develop ourselves, and we have the chance to even to be a better woman than some other men on earth. To the level even to be a saint, that you can get rid of your weaknesses 100% and perfect your goodness to the level you can even go beyond the saintlyhood and become an arahant. Yes? So, I'm not too sure, yes, time is up, so it's almost 11 o'clock, but I think it will be good. I will open the forum to discussion, because it's a very highly debatable thing, but I kind of, wanted to avoid about competing and whatever not, but to bring up the facts, the true facts, what Buddha had said, without denying that he has not said. Because some people says, oh, these suttas that Buddha is talking about, this, that, about the woman, no, they are not true, it's being added later by Brahmins. Yes, there are few, but not all. Because there are few suttas, like here, he's comparing, he's explaining about certain different categories, and the woman happened to be there, and he's explaining just spot on their problem. So, we don't have to deny that Buddha had not said that. But Buddha did not say it with a bitter mind or thinking of putting them down. No. He was just showing the differences, putting the facts down. And so we are so lucky, now someone has diagnosed it and told us we do have a problem. So all you have to do is work with it. And I'm sure you will know, if you have a husband, you have a brother, you have a dad, you have a son, you grow up with men, you will see the difference, how the men and how the women brain is different, how they look at a problem, how they try to solve it, it's totally different. Yeah? So there is this differences. So the West might say, oh, no different, we are equal. We can say that, but the fact is, no. To me, from knowing the science of the brain and also associating with men, with women, and also associating with all the hierarchies or all the classes in the society, when they have a problem, they come to us, so we know in and out, not just what people are showing. So, and me, being born as a woman and seeing who I was before and how true this is, and after practicing, seeing the difference, I agree 100%. There's a big difference, and women are more emotional, and that's exactly what Buddha was pointing out. So we don't have to deny. It is there. But the good thing is, so someone has helped us to recognize our problem, our weakness. So we should be very thankful to Buddha's guidance, his loving kindness, compassion, and the wisdom. And that he gave us the remedy, he gave us the hand to deal with this problem and to find liberation. So I'm so thankful to Buddha, and that I have been born as a Buddhist woman. Is the most precious thing. If I think if someone is to be born as a woman, the best position is to be born as a Buddhist woman. You will do better than any other woman in the world. So, if you all have any questions, please, it's your time. I hope I have not said anything that offends you, because some might say, look, she being a woman, she rubbished us. No. I do not have that intention, just was talking the facts. So, from here to where now that I have said, yes, we have a problem, hard work. The women would have to work harder, perfecting their virtue, perfecting their purity, and developing the wisdom, they have to work harder than the men. That's what it means. So it's like when we are at school, someone would say, oh, you're weak in maths. You're good at English. So if you're weak in maths, then you have to pay attention to improve your maths. Because it's very clear when they see the report, you might say, no, I'm good at maths. But when someone look at the report, they see you're weak at maths. So the teacher says, no, you need to take tuition to improve your maths. So it's like Buddha is showing. We have some weaknesses, that is, we have a lot of emotions that comes from the DNA. It's nothing wrong with you. It's nothing to do with you. It's in the DNA. Because we have to look after the infant, the baby. If you didn't have that strong attachment, you will be throwing away the baby after going through all that suffering, saying, oh no, this is the enemy. Look how much pain he gets. No. But going through all that pain, delivering and keeping them for 10 months and delivering, after that still the mother loves. All that sleeps at nights and the children not listening, doesn't matter, mother still loves. So, that's the motherly love, their attachment. It's due to that all the other problems also increase, not just the greed side, even the hatred increases. This is why they are more prone to get angry very easily. But the thing is also, I forgot to mention that, Buddha was pointing out that due to that motherly role, they actually develop the most pure love, the unconditional love to their children. So, when you're practicing, if you can use that, tap into that love that you have for your child, and then expand it to the neighbors, to the whole village, to the whole country, and to all beings, that as you would take care of your own son, your own child, even risking your life if needed, for that one's safety, you will do that. So that same love you can cultivate to all beings, because that seed is already there. So Buddha was taking this as an example in Karaniya Sutta to show the purest love and how that love should be, the metta, and how we can cultivate it boundlessly. So women have better access to develop metta, because they also have that in their DNA. So, that's a secret door. So, if you develop metta in the proper way, it's easy, and you can get into the jhanas, you can purify your mind very easily, and then develop your wisdom, get enlightened. But it's, we need to know our weaknesses and strengths and practice, but it will involve a lot of hard practice, because if you are prone to emotions, your behavior also tend to be bit, emotional. So this is why also at the time of the Buddha, the Brahmins was saying, there was a common saying that women should not be trusted because their speech is loose. There is a sloka like that. So that's how they looked at women. What it is showing is the weak behavior due to that emotions. So you have to really look into your precepts and keep a close guard. When the emotions come, do not behave emotionally. Cut that off, calm down, think rationally, and then act rationally. Protect your precepts. And then purify your mind. The easiest part you can take is the metta. It's easy for women. Practice the metta. Develop that boundless love to all beings. And develop the wisdom. So, but just know we have a rough road in average than the men. There are, of course, like during Buddha's time, there are exceptions. So what do you think, brother? Is woman better?
Yeah.
Huh?
Bhikkhuni, I have one question. I'm sure you've traveled around the world and you've seen a lot of places, especially in Buddhist countries. The affinity for religious practices, be it Buddhism or whether it's Islam or whether it's Christianity, you always find women are more active or take a more active role in religious practices or services or whatever it is, as opposed to men. Is there a reason for that?
Yes. Was that what was behind setting this topic?
No, not really, but
the reason is due to this emotional problem, women being emotional, they have a lot of physical and mental suffering. They have a lot of stress. So they are always seeking some comfort. They want to find some relief that they don't find at home, at work, wherever. So they want to find that relief because they have this internal suffering. So they get attracted to the places where they think they can gain access to peace or to happiness. So when they go to these religious places, they get the teachings and they start to practice, they see the benefit. So they get attracted and they start continuing to support, and because they see the benefit in that. For men, well, but I think nowadays it will change. You can write it down, because I see a lot of men are now like women. They also becoming very emotional, if you see. See, you can see they have started to grow the hair, they have started to put earrings, they have started to put lipstick, they have started to dress like women. And not only from outward they like to be like women, even inside is weaker now. In my life, I have not seen my dad cry, or any men in my family cry, I haven't seen. But now, I see crying men. That's a very rare thing, but it shows they are getting weaker. They are also becoming emotional. So this is what will happen. More and more we get polluted, the inside and the outside, people go down. And they get weaker and weaker and weaker, and we will get very close to the animal nature, which we are already, I think, getting there. More than human behavior, we are showing animal behavior, and even we will go down than the animals. So normally these women have a lot of suffering, so they are seeking a relief, so they get attracted. But I think in the future, men also will participate, because now the research is showing stress. There's not much difference between the women and the men. The stress levels the same. So stress means too much suffering. So men also now suffering equally as women. So they are also seeking the help with the psychiatrists, psychologists, this one, that running all around. So in the future, I would think men also will support. They will also get attracted to these places. Yeah.
Anyone more questions from the audience?
Yes.
Please feel free to come forward to ask questions since today talk is being held in conjunction with the International Women's Day. Please come forward.
Just to mention something.
Brother, please come forward for recording.
All the world, female species live longer than us. The female, 5 years. I think you're very lucky, your females, because they're 5 years longer than us. And they have 5 more years to practice. Not because I don't think it's because you are more intelligent than us. Because naturally, nature has given you this advantage. Thank you.
Thank you. But there is also a saying, no? The men whose wives die early, those men live longer. Have you heard that saying? So there must be a connection in that too. Yeah.
Please come forward for recording purpose. Please come forward, brothers and sisters. Use the mic.
Bhikkhuni,
Yes.
I noticed that I've been involved in this temple for about 8 to 9 months now, and I find that there are more women devotees than men. Is it true that women are more spiritually inclined than men, or the men are just not bothered spiritually? Is it happening in other temples or other monasteries outside Malaysia? Thank you.
Also, there is another angle to look at this. Like I said, why we all get attracted to the spiritual side is when we either go through some suffering, we get attracted and we find, we practice them. When we find relief, we keep on practicing. Or it's from previous births that you've been practicing and cultivating, and you're inclined to this kind of a lifestyle, and even in this style of life that you continue to practice. Now, when women go through this suffering, they come to the temple or wherever they go to seek help, the comfort, the relief. They practice and they go back to their home because they have very strong attachment and bond to their child, to the husband, to the family. But on the other hand, if men are going through the same amount of suffering equally what women are experiencing, so the men also comes, they find relief, but then what happens? In the order of the Sangha, who do you find more? Women or the men? Men. The monks outnumbers the nuns. Because when men, they are convinced that this is actually better, this gives me better comfort, this gives me better peace and happiness, very easily they can let go of their family. And they will go the whole way. They will not just get a temporary relief, but they will look for the full answer. They will walk the full length. So they will let go of their family and come and get ordained. So you will see the women are still stuck supporting. They are coming and going and they are keep on supporting, but the men, when they realize that's it, they become monks. And the women keep on supporting and they are like, whatever that's going on in their life, they are happy with that level. Very few go the full way. They will have the courage and the wisdom to let go of the family life, go beyond that attachment, and we will become a nun and do that. Even during the Buddha's time, there were so many monks less women. But who was mainly supporting? The women. It's the same thing now. But this is actually my view. It's not in suttas, just something that I think maybe that's a reason. So you all need to develop a lot of wisdom, so then you might leave and then men might come and support us. Then men will be left to support. Right, brother?
Soon.
Yes.
Any more questions?
So it's a universal thing, brother. It's not just happening in Buddhist Mahavihara. Everywhere, in Malaysia, in all other countries, that's what he was also mentioning. Because it's universal. It's also due to that difference, the way the women think and the men think.
Venus and Mars.
Huh?
Venus and Mars.
Mars and Venus.
Good morning, Bhikkhuni. I want to ask a question. There are, in current scenario, there are some female, they will associate with different gender. So they like categorize her as a characterless girl. Then some of the girl, if let's say she want to achieve something in her life, she don't have enough of support. What is your opinion about that?
The first part is not clear. I'm not getting what you say beneath the lines. Can you tell me what did you say? What you mean?
Some of the female in current scenario, when they associate with different gender like male or what, then they characterize her as a characterless girl. My second question is,
so what is the question in the first one? So what do you want to know from me about that? So what's the question in that?
like they downgrade her attitude.
Okay, so it's a statement you're making, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
When she associates with a different gender.
Okay.
Then for the second one is when she want to achieve something in her life. For example, she want to become ambitious, better in research or whatever kind of thing. She don't have a proper support, something like that.
So
when she want to achieve in her life, she don't have a proper support.
So
Because she is a female, so they downgrade them by a gender. So what is your opinion about that?
Okay, now it all depends on where you are and which culture that you are in. It all depends. Now, these Asian cultures tend to segregate the women, the men, and they like to separate. They don't intermingle. So if they see someone mixing with the other gender, then it looks a bit odd, because that's not what they have seen in their culture. But if you go to a culture like in Western cultures, if you go to States or to Australia or to UK, that's quite normal. So no one will tell anything if you have more the opposite gender friends. Like if you are a girl, if you have many boys as your friends, no one will even make notice of it, because it's quite normal. They don't have that separation between the man and the woman. So it depends on which culture you are in. So it's wise to live with the norm wherever you are, so you will not get that unnecessary attention and that unnecessary stigmas. And if you like to live the way you really want and you think that's what gives you happiness, then maybe move into a culture where that's not abnormal, where it is quite normal. Like, in Asia, if a mother bears a child without a father, it's like, I think they suicide. Most of them, they will not face the world, or they will hide the children, they will give the child to the orphanage, or somehow they cannot face the world with that. But in the West, it's quite normal. And the government even supports these single mothers. There's special support for single mothers. It's not a bad thing, it's not looked down upon. They see it as, oh, this lady needs help. So they, instead of putting down, they support. And it's, quite normal. So it depends where you are. So a wise person would behave in accordingly, so you will not, get that thing stacked. Or you should have a strong mind where, if you know you are not doing anything wrong, then you explain. It's quite okay. Now it's a modern world, modern society. It's not the time that our grandparents were living. So you can explain to people. Like this, slowly societies also change. And the other one, if you are not getting enough support, find an environment where you get enough support. It's just changing the environment. So if this society is not supporting for whatever the reason, just because they believe you are a woman, so you can't do well, so there's no point investing, you find a society where they have trust and faith in the woman, and then they support equally as men and women. So go to one of those societies. In the West, there's not much difference from the outlook, even though some research has proved there is still, the women don't have access as to the, what the men have access, because this has been like this for a long time. And it's being a patriarchal society, the male-dominant society. So we can't change it all of a sudden. So, you have to understand that and accept the situation and work with yourself and get to the societies where you will get enough support. Buddha was pointing this out very clearly. If you find that people are not practicing in the proper way, if their level of mentality is low, if they are, they call them bala. Bala means they don't know the right and the wrong, the good and the bad. Buddha says, don't associate with them. It's better to leave them and live alone. But if you can find the good people, who knows the right, the wrong, the good, the bad in the proper way, and who live with and keep on developing themselves with that good, and who supports that, Buddha says, associate with them. So you are supported. So it's about changing. Did it answer?
Any more questions? If there's no more questions, before we share merits,
Someone else.
please come forward.
ancient teacher. This Dhamma has helped her, so she has a special affinity to this place, to Bhante Buddhaji, to me. So maybe it's a way of showing gratitude. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we will put this for the benefit of the vihara.
My theory is that all mangoes started sour or tasteless, but when the mango is sweet, it's fully ripe, it's always sweet. That is my motto for myself.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes. Dhamma does the difference, no? Yes?
Venerable, mine is not really a question. It's been in my mind some time now. I think you have heard about Ajahn Brahm, right? And the order in Thailand. When he started the nunnery, or he wanted to start the nunnery, he had a lot of problems because from Thailand, the temples in Thailand, and even the Theravada temples, they were against the idea of having a nunnery. So if you say that the Buddha during the Buddha's time, the Buddha did a lot for the women, explained and even ordained women to be nuns. Just wondering, why in this time are there monks? I would call them monks because the resistance was from monks, having such ideas against the starting of a nunnery or even ladies to ordain. So maybe you could help me understand a little bit about this. Thank you.
Okay. To explain that, I need to go back a little bit to explain a little bit about the history. Then you will understand why. Also, I want to correct a part in that question. He had set up a nunnery long time ago. So this resistance was not to set up the nunnery. The nuns were already living there. The resistance came because the nuns were taking the higher ordination. Okay, so the nunnery already existed, no one opposed it. It was all supported. The question about this higher ordination, okay, now during the Buddha's time, the status of the women were very low. I hope you got an idea, and I'm sure you know this is Asia. They were housebound and closed in the closet. Okay, they can't do much else. And then here comes the Buddha and gives the equal kind of a footing with the men. And also then he accepts women into the order where when the king comes, now he has to bow down to this woman who was only kitchen bound before. But now he has to bow down. So this was a revolutionary thing to do. It was very radical. A lot of the Brahmins could not stand this, so they were waiting and waiting for an opportunity to attack this. Then, as soon as after Buddha died, the problem started to come. But during the time of the King Asoka, who came to reign after 273 years with the passing away, his daughter happened to get the higher ordination and became a bhikkhuni. Again, at that time, the bhikkhuni sasana started flourishing because you got the king's support. And then, the king in Sri Lanka invited the King Asoka to send the daughter, the bhikkhuni, to Sri Lanka because the king's brother's wife also wanted to get ordained after listening to the Dhamma from Venerable Mahinda. You know this story. So after listening to the Dhamma from Venerable Mahinda, they also got inspired and they said, we want to become nuns, all these royal ladies. Then Venerable Sanghamitra came to Sri Lanka, and then in Sri Lanka the nuns flourished. After some time, there was Buddhism in China, but was only monks. So the Chinese king then asked the Sri Lankan king at that time if he could send a troop of nuns to China. And the Sri Lankan king supported, so these Theravada nuns went to China to ordain the nuns. That also, there were a lot of royal families, royal ladies who were seeking this higher ordination. So they went to China and ordained. But in China, what they have, the philosophy that they follow is Mahayana. So they had Mahayana monks there. But now, the Theravada nuns goes from Sri Lanka and gives the ordination to the nuns there. So to me, there is no Mahayana nuns to begin with. It was started with the Theravada ordination, even though they are going with their custom and calling they are Mahayana nuns. But when you trace the lineage back, this is written record in Mahavansa in Sri Lanka. It's written who went there and how it took place. So no one argues with that. It's the Theravada Bhikkhunis from Sri Lanka went and gave ordination to these ladies in China who are now called Mahayana Bhikkhunis. And then what happened after some time in Sri Lanka, not only the nuns' order, even the monks' order disappeared due to the invasions, due to famine and this and that, time to time. The monks also disappeared. But at that time, there were courageous men who convinced the king and said, no, we need to start the bhikkhu order again. So we need a bhikkhu to come from some country where there is still Buddhism. So the kings made contact with Thailand, sometime with Burma. So there have been this exchange time to time. So someone will come and revive the Buddhist, the Sangha in Sri Lanka, and vice versa. When there was a time the monks disappeared in Thailand, Burma, monks from Sri Lanka had gone and helped them to revive. So it has happened time to time like that. But unfortunately, looks like there was no courageous woman to ask for the ordination to restart it again. But anyway, so time went by like this, and then here in this era, there's this courageous women come now, and they say, and also especially in the West, when the Buddhism went to the West, the women started saying it was only Buddha actually who raised the women's status, to equal to be with the men. And how come now we can't get into the order? You can be a 10 preceptor nun, but you are not considered as in the order. You are not a Sangha member. It's very clear. Like in Burma, I was just in Burma for a few months meditating, and I can see when they go for lunch, there is a line. In the line, the bhikkhus goes first, and the lay upasaka, then the siyales. Siyale means that Burmese nuns goes actually behind the lay upasakas. So what they are following is bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, upasaka, upasika. So even though they have a bald head and they are called a nun, they are still a upasika. So they don't get the recognition as a bhikkhuni. So what happened? There was no bhikkhunis at all in these Asian countries. Then when this Buddhism went to Western countries, they started researching to find, is there any bhikkhunis? Yes, in Mahayana. Oh, okay, let's have a look about their lineage. And in some countries, their lineage is not broken. That's been coming down from the time they started. So then there were a lot of monks also supporting this, a lot of the Sri Lankan monks. And it's actually the Sri Lankan monks who really supported this movement. And then they found out after doing a lot of research, you know Bhikkhuni Kusuma, who comes here time to time. She's also very old now. She also did her PhD in these studies, and she was doing a lot of research into this. She personally went to Korea to study the Vinaya between the Theravada and the Mahayana and about this ordination. And then she also discovered there's not much difference between the Vinaya between this Theravada and Mahayana, and the ordination is the same. I mean, for sure, because it started from here. To me, I wouldn't call there is a Mahayana lineage, except, you know, they are following the Mahayana philosophy. There should be Theravada Bhikkhunis, because it's a Theravada Bhikkhunis who gave the ordination. So they discovered that, and they said, let's get those Bhikkhunis, the Mahayana Bhikkhunis, and then start again the Theravada nuns. So they did that in India. 1996 there was the first ordination, then 1998 there was another ordination. And some of the Sri Lankan monks took the leadership and they set up a nunnery where they will train the Bhikkhunis. And now there is about 1,000 nuns, Bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka. So it started like that and it's going on. Then the Thai forest tradition. I was also with Ajahn Sujato in Sydney. He was the secretary for Ajahn Brahm long time ago. Ajahn Sujato was very passionate about this topic. The ladies also must have access to become bhikkhunis, because he had a personal incident where his sister was interested in Buddhism. Then all of a sudden she said, no, I don't want to follow another religion that puts down the woman. Your religion is no better than Christianity. Look, you talk about equal this, equal that, Buddha was so compassionate, but you don't accept women. And to the order, no, I'm not really. So it hit him. So they also understood, you know, if this Buddhism is to flourish in Western countries, you really have to address this issue. So he did a lot of research. And when I was there as Anagarika, when Ajahn Brahm visits us, time to time he would come to Santi. Ajahn Brahm was very opposed to the idea. He said, no. The Bhikkhunis cannot be revived, you know, they are dead. But somehow, looking into this research, and then, you know, it's a fact that you can. It's like from, you know the papaya tree, right? To me, it's like you taking a papaya seed from Sri Lanka and planting it in China. But in China, they call it guava. But now we realize, looking at it, what we call, you know, the papaya is what they call the guava. So for us, we can bring back that seed, and for us, it's going to be papaya, right? The seed is the same. So somehow Ajahn Sujato convinced Ajahn Brahm, and he got convinced, yes, this can be done. And it's time now, because there was a lot of social pressure on Ajahn Brahm too. So then they did it. And if I'm to say, if there is a monk at this time who is sincerely, genuinely interested in, you know, women's welfare or nuns' welfare, it's Ajahn Brahm. He's so sincerely, you know, he risked his position also with the Ajahn Chah's lineage. So what happened? The Ajahn Chah's lineage, they have abbots meeting every year, because they still go like a group. And Ajahn Brahm is also one of the Ajahn Chah's disciples. So he is also in that Ajahn Chah's lineage. So before this meeting came, he did the ordination in Perth. So the reason for them to expel him from Ajahn Chah's lineage was that he did not ask permission or didn't wait for that meeting to raise this question and get the elders' approval or their ideas. But Ajahn Brahm went perfectly with the Vinaya. In Vinaya it says, whatever the matter that you want to settle in this monastery, as long as the Sangha in this monastery come in unison and agree to do that, you can go ahead and do it. You don't, because we don't have, Buddha didn't appoint a head. After Buddha's demise, he said it's a Dhamma and a Vinaya. Even though we have Sangharajas and this one and that one, but according to Vinaya, you are allowed to make decision in your own monastery coming together. So they did it according to that. So Ajahn Brahm said, I have done according to the Vinaya, it's perfectly okay. But they said, we will expel you if you don't denounce this, the ordination. You say that they are not bhikkhunis. He said, no, I will not do that. They are bhikkhunis. So they expelled him, but it didn't affect Ajahn Brahm. Ajahn Brahm is a very strong position. He's already famous. He's already, powerful. It didn't affect him at all, but as a result of him being very strong, now there is bhikkhunis in Australia. Yeah, it was just a political situation. Because they believe, the Burmese and the Thais, they believe this bhikkhuni ordination cannot be revived because there's no Theravada bhikkhunis left. And they challenge that you cannot do it with Mahayana bhikkhunis. But I guess they don't go into detail to see the studies that the ordination ceremony and the ordination, that procedure is the same. Maybe, hopefully in the future, it might change. With people strong like Ajahn Brahm come forward, things will change. Like this time when I was in Burma, it's very surprising, in that line. Now that retreat was conducted also by a Western Siale and other Westerners. So now it came the question, now where is the bhikkhuni going to be? Because in Burma, bhikkhunis are not recognized. But to my surprise, I was not involved at all. That I must actually pray my gratitude. It's Sayadaw Indaka. And the abbot in that monastery, they said she can go behind the bhikkhus. So I was behind the bhikkhus. Bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, then had the upasaka, then the nuns. So they did recognize, so they respected that, which was very good. And I see it as a very positive sign where things can change in the future for Burma. There is a difference, but I will explain it to you, but I think we have to close. The difference is they are not accepted as Sangha. Yes. So they are put on the category Upasika. But for Buddha, he had Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Upasaka, Upasika. So either you are a Bhikkhu or Upasaka, or you are a Bhikkhuni or Upasika. So there is a big difference.